Welcome to the Bill Levinson Experience, a motivational podcast relating to the insurance brokerage industry and business in general. And now, here's Bill Levinson.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Bill Levinson Experience podcast. Here we are, let's say mid-April now. We're around the corner from our annual Agent Expo, literally next Friday, so a week away. Very excited about the Expo. It's going to be bigger and better than ever. I always like to say that. And here's what's so cool about today's podcast. You know, I do these monthly. And number one, I want to thank everybody for listening from around the country, around the globe. We appreciate you taking the time. And most important, I want you to walk away with nuggets, right? If you can learn one thing from myself or our guest speaker, then that's a win-win-win across the board. And we can maximize every minute here spent with us. Getting back to the Expo, so we have Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant's former life coach, Tim Grover, who's the author of Relentless and the book Winning. In fact, everyone in attendance gets a copy of his book, and then Tim actually recorded a special message for all Levinson agents. I'm a huge fan of his, and it just kind of falls in line with what we're talking about today because me and Breshad are both into positivity, giving back to the community, being the best we can in our business and in his sport. So this is just an awesome podcast with great timing, and I couldn't be any more proud to introduce our guest speaker today, who is Breshad Perriman. So from the NFL, in fact, he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last season, and he's also a good friend of mine. So Breshad, number one, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today. We appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, Bill, no problem, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, I before we jump in here, number one, it's obviously his off season here, his off time, his days off. And thank you so much for taking the time. It means the world to us. We have a lot of younger kids that listen in. We have life insurance agents, attorneys, all across the board. So just by you jumping in and sharing some wisdom, some nuggets, inspiration means so much to all of us. So thank you for that. And I want to just tell everyone real quick, let's shift gears for a minute, you know, how we met and how this all kind of came together, because I think it's a neat story. And I'm sure if you've listened to past episodes, you know I've had some NBA players, NFL, Jorge Soler, MVP, that now plays for the Marlins. And you probably scratch your head and say, well, what does this all have to do with life insurance? And it really doesn't have to do with life insurance, but it has to do with us as people, right, across the board, doing the best we can and helping each other, which is what it's about. So we're all kind of, we have this mutual interest. We're into the exotic cars, and we do these car runs, and we know a lot of the same people. So there was a local event that we do down here in South Florida, and we have a mutual friend, Abe. We'll give him credit. So Abe brings me over, and he's like, hey, you got to meet my boy Breshad. And I was like, of course. So we shook hands, started talking, and I was like, man, what a great guy. And I didn't know anything about you at that time, you know, and I just thought, man, what a great guy, so nice. We were talking about the cars and, you know, this and that. And then afterwards, you know, Abe's like, oh, yeah, at that time he plays for the Bucks. You know, he's a wide receiver, and, you know, obviously Tom Brady's the quarterback, and I was blown away. So then, anyway, long story short, I don't want to waste any time, Sagicor Life Insurance Company invited us to go see a Tampa Bay Rays baseball game. And it turns out Breshad was literally around the corner from the stadium, and we all hooked up when we were in Tampa, myself, Abe, and Breshad, and went to the game, had a great time, and always kept in touch since then. And it's rare that you find those good people and those good relationships when people are just genuine and their heart is in the right place. So that's how this whole thing came about. So anyway, enough about that. Let's jump right in. Breshad, can you just share with everyone? We both were born and kind of grew up in Miami, but can you just tell everyone how you got started and how you wound up in the NFL? Like just a little background.
Yeah, no problem. So, basically, I basically grew up in, the kind of like the football world. My dad played NFL in the NFL for 10 years. So it was kind of like almost just like second nature for me to kind of gravitate to the sport. You always want to kind of like be like your dad when you grow up, as a child. And yeah, so he started me out pretty young, playing football. And I kind of just like fell in love with it and just decided that's what I wanted to do, for the rest of my life. And, thank God that it happened.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it turns out Breshad's dad, Breshad Perriman, played for 10 years in the NFL. And I think what's so interesting is like the way I grew up. Like my dad obviously was in the life insurance industry. So, both as kids growing up, you see your father, and I'm sure the NFL is obviously a lot cooler than life insurance is. But either way, you look up to your parents, your dad, and, you want to do everything just like them. And so I think that's a neat story. And when so you obviously played high school football, and I also did a little research. I saw you did track and field, and I think you were in the Junior Olympics or something I saw.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. So it's crazy because I always had a strong love for football, but like track, it was like it came to a point where like I didn't know which one to choose because I was really good at track, and then like I love track so much, but at the same time I love football, and it was like part of my my family history. So it just like I think like around middle school I was like, okay, I think I should start taking this more serious. Like, I'm good at both, but, just football felt right for me.
And obviously that was the right decision because look at you today. So, which is amazing. And I'm sure your dad was and still is your mentor and believed in you and probably kept pushing you, right, to go all the way with this.
Oh, for sure. Man, we was so many countless nights, and days just of hard work, just practicing day in and day out. Like a lot of times, I had to sacrifice like things that I wanted to do. Of course, as a teenager, or, as a high schooler, like, hit parties or, just chill with my friends. I had to kind of like cut that to the side, cut back on it for a little bit. And he would have me at the park all day, all night, go home and watch videos of him like playing and see, how to just be a student of the game. So, back then, of course, it's like, you just want to be a kid and you want to just go out there and have fun, which I still did a lot of that as well. But, everything paid off, so I'm truly thankful for it.
Yeah, no, your story is unbelievable. It really is. It's just unreal. And I think the biggest lesson there, and let's face it, like we're all kids, we all wanted to go to the parties and hang out with the cool kids, but you stayed so laser focused on football, and you, like you just said, you went home and studied film, and your dad, and I'm sure the running and catching and the game overall. And look what happened as a result of, all those years of hard work and the sacrifice. And, I'm sure you had a lot of friends that went to the parties and, just like me, I grew up in South Florida, and today, and I don't want to ever talk bad, but a lot of my friends, never made it anywhere. Some went to jail. Some are dead. They never made it out of college. I mean, and so I stayed laser focused, and so did you. And I think the main lesson is that it pays off in the long run. If you want to be the best, right, which you are obviously in your field as a first round draft pick, and I feel like I'm at the top in my industry. There's no other way. I mean, period. It's the only way to make it as a true professional, and that's what Breshad did, as you can see. So, and then obviously went to college, at UCF, that's right?
Yep.
which I'm sure was a great experience. That was fun, right? And you learned a lot and had real coaching, and that had to change. That you had to step up everything once again, right? From high school to college.
Yeah, man, college was an amazing experience. Yeah, I went to UCF. Best time of my life. You know, met some guys. You know, some of my old teammates. You know, we still talk almost every day. You know, 10 years later. So
yeah, that's great.
It was a great experience for me. Like you said, just had to like really even focus in more on college, because you know when you get to college you got even more distractions, and you know it's kind of more so like a job, like not fully like a job like an NFL, but you know it's kind of, you know what I mean, you got to perform, especially if you're serious about it and you're trying to get to the next level. You know, you got to perform, you got to produce. So it kind of like had to take that next step into the next level of focus, and you know it was all good for me.
Unreal. Just that within itself is unbelievable, because, you know, you're trying to have a personal life, you're trying to build this career, and obviously all the pro teams were looking at you, and you got to make the right. You hear all these horror stories from these college players that some of them never wind up, you know, making it to the pros, or they wind up getting in trouble, and you just hear so much stuff, and it's just amazing to me how you just stayed on this narrow line and you made it to the big league. So it's amazing. Let me ask you a question too, and I'm sure you think about this a lot, and you know what you went through, and you know getting to the place you are today, which is incredible. You're not even 30 years old yet. I mean, I think you're 29 today. But what obvious, and I think this is interesting too, and I met Breshad's wife, who is such a sweetheart, and you know you hear the saying, like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and you know he has his spouse, his wife, who's just like him, you know, same humble, great heart kind of person, and I'm not shocked to see that. So it's nice to see all this and work out the way it did. What do you obviously you're going now, I think, on your 8th season, right, in the NFL? You're a free agent right now, but eighth season.
Yep. My next season will be 9.
9. Oh my gosh, which is incredible. I think the average is like what, 3 or 4 years? Is that right?
Yeah, it's a blessing.
It is a blessing. It's unreal. You should be proud of yourself, man. That's why I'm so proud to bring you on the podcast. We were trying to do this for months already, and finally we were able to make this happen, and I'm just glad everybody gets a chance to meet Breshad and hear him speak. So it's all good stuff. So a quick question. Let's shift gears again. What did you have any plans, or did you think about like what the next part of your life will be? Like, do you want to focus on like I don't know, real estate or investing, or just kind of taking it easy for a while after this is over one day?
Yeah, I think that I'm definitely gonna take it easy for a while, but I think that I'm definitely interested in getting into like real estate investing. That's something that I'm always online, like, you know, just looking at properties or, you know, anything that, you know, would be a good investment, you know, just to try to kind of increase my knowledge in that field as much as I can now. I still, you know, staying focused on ball. But yeah, that's definitely something that I got a lot of interest in.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Plus, you have a great name, you have a huge following, so it makes complete sense. And I feel like real estate is such a safe, conservative place to put your money, no matter what. So I love that. In fact, I do a little bit of that right now. I think it's very smart. And obviously, you know, too, I'm here to help in any way I can. If, you know, whatever, a connection, a relationship, or any support, I'm here for you, just like I know you would be for me with anything I need. So,
yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no, of course. All right, let's talk about this for a second too. I think this is interesting. So obviously, you played with Tom Brady. He's quarterback, you're wide receiver, and I saw that you actually caught the 700th touchdown pass from Tom Brady. I mean, how that's incredible, right? I mean, what a freaking game that had to be, right?
Oh man, that's a moment I'll never forget, man. A memory that'll be with me forever. That was a real special moment for me and my family. And oh man, it's even to this day it's kind of still surreal. Like when I come across it on social media or run by it on the internet, it's crazy.
It's unbelievable. Who would ever think this kid from Miami, right? Growing up and playing ball and next thing you know, I mean, literally the best quarterback of all time, you catch, the touchdown pass for the 700th throw and touchdown pass from Brady, which is surreal. So and I got to ask you a question. I mean, how is it to work with him? I mean, I know you played for a few teams, few quarterbacks throughout the years. Like, is he just on another level, like discipline-wise, motivation-wise?
Yeah, I think on everything that you just named, discipline, motivation, like his focus is crazy. It's like he's a cool dude. He's human just like all of us. He'll joke around and stuff like that. But when you step on that field, whether it's practice or game, like it's time to lock in. Like you can feel his energy. He's pretty vocal about it, and I just feel like he just makes everyone around him better from a not just from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint as well.
Yeah, no, that's I can only imagine. I mean, you think about like you've been in the NFL a long time, played with different quarterbacks, but this guy is just a beast. And obviously, I never met him in person. You played with him, but just as a leader, as the best ever. That had to be such a great experience. I can't even imagine. But anyway,
yeah.
it's you got a lot to be proud of. It's just such a great story. And I want to ask you too, and I think everyone can relate to this, but you more than all of us. You've been through some tough moments, throughout the years, COVID, and I'm sure some losses and here and there, in the game and outside of the game, like discipline wise, and if you got real down on yourself, like did you lean on like a mentor, like books, working out, a person, like what is your go-to, like, so everybody can learn a little bit, how do you make it through those tough times, professional and personal, all the above?
I would have to say probably my family and God. Of course I feel like anytime I go through something hard, definitely, give my prayers to God and, whatever on my heart, whatever, I'm worried about or disappointed about, try to talk to him first and foremost, and then follow back with my family, like talk to my mom and my wife, my brothers, about what's going on. And then, for the most part, those two things usually get me out of the rut quick. And then I also give myself like a 24-hour rule, like, no matter what's going on, bad performance in the game, no matter what it is, not even if it's not, in a professional business standpoint. I just try to give myself, 24-hour rule to, you can, all right, you just feel all the emotions that you're going through right now, whatever it may be, and then, but after the 24 hours, it's done. It's in the past. You got to move on, and just keep pushing.
Yeah, that's awesome. In fact, I wrote that down too. I think that's great. It's so true, because when you think about it, like that tough moment or loss or letdown, whatever, the next day it's like you look at it so differently, no matter what it is. You think at that moment, it's like, oh, this is the end of the world. I'm never going to get through this. I'm no one. And then the next day, it's like, what the hell was I thinking? Like,
Yeah.
Well, Bill, come on. So,
exactly.
So true. Yeah. No, it's true.
Exactly.
and I feel like a lot of the younger kids can learn from that too, because people get so upset, and especially these days, you hear about all this crazy stuff going on with suicide and these shootings, and people gotta relax, take a step back, take a day or two. What I've been doing lately, and I know it's a lot of work, but I just write down my thoughts at night before I go to sleep, like a few things, just so I can see it the next day, in the next week, whatever.
For sure, that works. And then also, like, I feel like it's important to realize, like, whatever you're going through in that moment, of course, it feels horrible, but at the same time, if you really think back, like, deep into your life, I'm sure you probably been through something that was, even worse, that you might have thought the same, you might be feeling the same thing that you was thinking back then, like, dang, like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know if I'm going to get through this. But, if you think about those past experiences, of how you got through, and I think that will add some fuel to the fire as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, and that's so true. And that goes back to writing things down, because you're right. When you look back, if you're 30 or 40, whatever, doesn't matter, 20, and you go back and you say, okay, the worst thing that ever happened, was this, and then look at what's happening today, right? And most likely it doesn't even come close to what happened, 10 years ago, and you made it through that pretty well. So that it's true. It's so true. And I know it's easy to talk about it, but then when you're going through it, it's like, well, Bill, it's not that easy right now. Well, try that 24-hour rule. Write things down, and I guarantee it'll help, because it helps me tremendously. And obviously, it's working for Breshad pretty well. So you can see that. All right, so I got just two questions left, and then we can wrap up. I know you're busy and you got a lot going on there. And I love this question. So, we talk about like a life-changing story, maybe a moment that, like, in time in your life, like that really, changed the way that you were running your life, or your, emotional, or anything, could maybe something with you and your dad, or you and your wife, or maybe when you were picked, like a first round, or maybe a story from a coach, or the 700th touchdown pass from Brady. Was there like a life-changing moment that you can share with everyone that you just, like, to this day, you're just blown away from?
Yeah, I got two. They kind of like, well, it's both are good stories. So the first one definitely is, me getting, drafted first round. That was huge. Like, for me, it was just, so surreal. You know what I mean? Like, I've been through a lot of adversity, no matter all of the ups and downs it took to get there. I feel like everything at that moment, once I was picked in the first round, it just felt like everything was worth it. So that was huge. That was like a life-changing moment for me, for sure, and my family, of course. And then another one would have to be my dad. So my dad had a stroke in 2016, I believe. Yeah. So he had a stroke 2016, and he had a 3% chance to live. So once he made it out of that, that was like life-changing. That was a life-changing moment for me and my family, like something I think about basically every day. Like, no matter, that kind of helps me with my challenges as well, kind of falling back to the other question, I guess. But that's something I think about every day. It's a life-changing moment. No matter, I feel like no matter if he can get through, that, basically being on life support and a machine breathing for him and all this stuff, like, I feel like it's nothing that I can't really get through, no matter what it is I go through. So I kind of just try to take that mindset every day. Like, I'm not really too much worried about the negatives or anything bad that can happen, because I've seen him get through it. So now that's my mindset. Like, when it comes to any type of adversity, like, I've seen him get through it. So whatever that's going to come my way, God willing, you know, it won't be nothing as bad as what he had to go through. So everything should be a cakewalk for me because I got evidence, that hey, my bloodline, we could just get through some tough things. So that was a life-changing moment for sure.
Oh, absolutely, bro. And thank you for sharing that. That's insane. And listen, you talk about something like that, and it really makes you put things into perspective. Like obviously you're a pro player in the NFL, and you're negotiating contracts, and you're involved with this and that, and a new house or whatever. But when you look at something like that happens, it changes the way you look at everything. And all of a sudden, it's like, a lot of the older people say, oh, if I opened my eyes this morning, it was a good day, but actually that's pretty true when you look at the big picture. And when you're a kid, you take those things for granted. But then when you experience something like that, it really makes you realize and appreciate every day, with money, without money, whatever. Just if you're healthy and you're up that day. So that's huge, man. I didn't even know that. So really, thank you for sharing that. Is he good today? Is everything okay today?
Yeah, he good. He so the stroke made him. Now he has dementia. So my mom is the caregiver for him right now. But he's still alive, so you can't really. That's all you really can ask for. So,
yep, that's right.
Yeah, he's perfect.
That's right. And not to get like religious or anything, but I also believe in God, and I say little few things every day, my own personal relationship, but that's when things are eye-opening for you. That whatever your religion or whatever you're into, that's fine, but figure it out and get into. You got to get into it a little bit because you're going to have some tough times, and like Breshad just mentioned, so. Anyway, no, that's a great story, and it makes you really open your eyes to life and put things in line and what's important and what's not. Yep. So thanks for that. Yeah. All right. So my last question here, and I love this one too. I saved the best for last. So, and just you can think about this for a minute. So today, obviously, you're just under 30, right? You've had a hell of a life so far. I'm sure it's only going to get better and bigger. If you can go back, 10 years to the younger Breshad, let's say when you were 19, right? Is there anything that you would have or could have done differently that would have changed where you are today? Like, if you could tell yourself 10 years ago, hey, you really should have looked at this or done this different or whatever, anything. Is there anything that you would have told yourself that you could have done differently back then? Like if you're talking to your son or your little brother or whatever, any lessons, anything that stands out?
I think I would tell myself to be in the moment and have fun. And, I feel like a lot of times, even back then, of course, I was so focused on, what my end goal was. But at the same time, I feel like I wasn't like I heard a saying, a lot of coaches like to say, be where your feet are. And I feel like then I was kind of like so laser focused or so had like tunnel vision on an end goal. Like I would plan days ahead of time, when I didn't even get to that day. But instead, I would think like just enjoy the whole process. You know what I mean? Like instead of being so focused, like of course you're always gonna have the end goal, and you're gonna get there. Like as long as you stay focused, but just stay focused for that day. Like don't be so caught up into 10 years from now, this is where I want to be. Like of course that's always the goal. But at the same time, you still gotta be in the moment, have fun, trust your process, and control what you can control. So I would tell myself all those things because there's a lot of things that there's gonna be a lot of things that come your way that you can't fully control. That if you try to control it, you ain't gonna do nothing but drive yourself crazy. But if you if you just stick to the process, trust the process that and the blueprint that you've kind of been abiding by that whole time, like everything will work out. It always does, and it always will. So be in the moment, have fun, and then control what you control.
I love it. That is spot on. That's something I need to remember too, because you're right. You get so focused on 5, 10 years, 20 years. I want to be here. I want to do this. I want to hit that goal, which is great. I always say, like, wear two hats.
Right.
One should point forward, what's next, but one needs to point to today and being in the moment. So I love that, bro. That awesome. All right, man. This was so inspiring, eye-opening for me. I learned a lot about my friend Breshad, even more. So that this is great, and I wish everybody that's listening walks away with at least 1, 2, 3 things. But most important, this guy is an amazing person. So humble. I said it in the beginning. I'm going to say it now, full of integrity and just an all-around good person. So I'm so glad to have him as a guest speaker on today's episode. Make sure you follow Breshad Perriman on Instagram and social media. He also has his own foundation that gives back to underprivileged children through schools and churches and with holidays and giving back. It's called the Breshad Perriman Foundation, which I just made a promise before we started on record that I'm going to contribute and help him out any way I can. That's on record, so I want to help out and do whatever I can do to give back for your foundation, Breshad. So with that said, of course. Thank you again so much. Thanks. I'll put it out here. Thanks, Abe, for introducing us, and his wife, Sierra, is amazing. And thank you to everybody. And Breshad, really, this means the world to me. And once again, thank you so much, my brother.
Man, I truly appreciate it, Bill.
And anytime. I'll talk to you soon. And once again, everyone, Bill Levinson Experience Podcast. Thanks for listening, and make sure to follow Breshad Perriman. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for the Bill Levinson Experience. Please feel free to share this podcast with anyone you think would be interested. You may also visit levinsonandassociates.com and all of Bill Levinson's social media pages for more information.